Welcome to the wildest, most jaw-dropping AITA Reddit stories that Reddit has to offer this week. The video is perfect for those who love drama, moral dilemmas, and a dash of karma. Ready to judge? Let's dive together. Let's open the drama with a very interesting story from Bam-GS7979. AITA for telling my gay friend that the can't persuades every man. Hi, so for context, I'm a straight female, 19 years old. And I have a male best friend who is gay, also 19. Recently, another girl in our friend group, let's call her Sarah, has gotten a boyfriend who is straight. Both are 20. So, basically, my friend, who is gay, has this theory that every man is either secretly gay or could be easily persuaded to bang another guy or be attracted to one. You just need to be persuasive, is what he likes to say. This wouldn't be an issue, but recently, he's been adamant that Sarah's boyfriend is gay or bi, and that he should try flirt with Sarah's BF to see if he's truly straight. He believes that since he's more of a femboy, that her boyfriend could be persuaded. Sarah has declined his idea multiple times, and it is becoming uncomfortable. He even suggested doing it behind Sarah's back, and she'd be thankful in the end. Sarah's also had a really bad relationship experience where her ex-BF did cheat on her. I think it kind of messed with her, cause now she's paranoid every guy she'll ever date is going to cheat on her and end up gay or bi. We tried telling her that more people are accepting of LGBTQ+ these days, and actual gay guys are less inclined to hide and date a girl. Of course, we can't speak for the gays, but it was just to console her. Anyways, it's gotten to the point where she is actively distancing herself and her BF from our best friend, because she's worried her BF might end up being attracted to him. We haven't told her BF yet either, because she doesn't want him getting any ideas. So I confronted my gay friend and told him that no, he can't persuade every man to bang him or whatever, and to stop telling Sarah that every man can be persuaded by another guy, cause it's really messing with her. However, he insisted I was homophobic since I did not want men to be gay. I'm really confused since it's hurting our friend group. TL, DR, gay friend, keeps telling other friend every man can be persuaded to bang or be attracted to another man. So her BF is secretly gay/bi, and it's messing with her. I told him he's wrong, and he called me homophobic. Edit. Hi guys, thank you for your advice. We did talk to him as a group, expressing how his mindset was like straight guys saying that they can convert lesbians to become straight, and that it meant he was no different from people who believe in conversion therapy. He got quite annoyed and explained that he only had good intentions and wanted to help Sarah, which none of us believed. We also explained that according to his theory, every man can become gay or bi, which means sexuality is a choice, and that he can become straight/bi if persuaded. He did not take it well and went off on us, telling us we were being homophobic and insecure, that our boyfriends could be swayed. For some reason, he didn't want to believe he could be straight, saying women would never arouse him. That didn't make sense, according to his theory, but unfortunately, he didn't see any fault in his thinking. Of course, we also told him that his belief of just needing to be persuasive is basically harassment and coercion, and he needs to respect Sarah and her boyfriend's boundaries, because he's being a creep. We told him he wasn't welcomed into the friend group until he dealt with his toxic and gross views. Unfortunately, he's a very stubborn individual, and he couldn't see how he was being a friend. He's no longer part of our friend group, and as for Sarah, we all apologized that it took us a while to kick him out. We also convinced her to talk to her boyfriend for his and her safety, in case our gay friend did try to take advantage of him out of spite. Her boyfriend told us he did notice that our gay friend had an off vibe whenever he was around him. However, Sarah's boyfriend did say he was in fact straight, so he did not appreciate our gay friend trying to test his theory out on him for Sarah's sake. We do believe our gay friend probably had a crush on Sarah's boyfriend since he would start acting weirder around him. Anyway, thank you all for your advice. Truly appreciate it. TL. DR. We kicked him out of the group, telling him his views were coercive and constituted harassment. He kept defending himself, saying we were being insecure and homophobic. We didn't listen. He is no longer part of the group, and we've apologized to Sarah for taking a while to kick him out. Sarah also told her boyfriend who wasn't happy. OP is not an AH for standing up to the inappropriate and coercive behavior of his gay friend, and OP is 100% right for defending her boundaries. OP's friend's theory is just nonsense, and no matter what it is, he has no right to make his friend's circle uncomfortable because of his personal beliefs. As for scores, I would rate OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP's friend 2.5. Let's now jump onto the next story from girldad_4. I told my girlfriend why my family was giving her bad looks at, and now I am on week 2 of drama because of it. AITA? I, 37M, told my girlfriend, 34F, why my family was giving her bad looks at, and now I am on week 2 of drama because of it. Is this salvageable? I am having a hard time right now because my girlfriend, whom I love, has decided that my whole family hates her, and I am also against her because of what happened when my brother and his family visited. For a little backstory, we have been dating for a little over a year. I am a solo parent, mother is deceased, of 2 amazing little girls, 6 and almost 9. She has 3 great kids, 15F, 14M, 9F. My brother also has 3 kids and comes to visit about once or twice a year for 4 to 5 days. My mom lives very close to me and I see her almost daily. She helps me with so many things and has really been my rock through difficult times becoming a full-time single dad. And I also work full-time as a professional engineer. It's also important to say that during this, her kids were on a trip with their grandmother for 2 weeks, and she stayed home to work. Recently, my brother visited, and we had dinner at my mom's house. And during the dinner, my GF was cussing a lot in front of the kids and everyone. She is definitely a cursor, but it's never been an issue for me. And to me, this seemed out of the ordinary. Just loudly saying f***ing shit at the dinner table with all the kids present, and my mom's natural reaction was to give her a dirty look. She took this as an insult and quickly left after dinner without barely a goodbye. I tried to play it off, but it wasn't hard to see it wasn't normal. She's usually the one who hugs everyone before she leaves, etc. The next day, after she slept over, she said she wanted to spend the whole day with us, and we had a whole bunch of activities planned. She just needed to go home and get pretty. Fast forward the whole day, and she texted me through the day saying, "I'll be there soon," but we didn't see her until about 4 o'clock. It was a little awkward for me as I told everyone she was coming in the morning. After my brother left, we talked about it, and I told her I didn't like her saying something and not following through. I would have been fine just for her to spend the day doing whatever she wanted and meeting up for dinner, or not at all. I just really dislike it when I'm told one thing then she does another. I expressed that to her, and so it begun. She said I compare her to my ex, reason why I'm sensitive to the "I'll see you soon" thing, and my mom was comparing her to my ex, and I was being unreasonable for wanting her there every second. I do want her there, but also understand sometimes first introductions are better little by little, and she has high anxiety, so it's all good. I told her exactly that before and after, but I stuck to not anting to be strung along. Next, she said my mom was giving her a bunch of dirty looks, and so I told her likely why, because she was dropping F-bombs at the dinner table. Well, I might as well have said that everyone I know and myself hate her as a person and want her to be a robot. The exact phrasing is, "I'm not going to censor myself." This led to a bunch of arguing, not yelling, but just talking. It finally got to the point I was about to just throw in the towel, and she backed off. I won't go into detail, but I said I respect her feelings, but she must respect mine too, and just because someone didn't like her word choice doesn't mean they hate her. My mom loves her. She also said she won't change for anyone, and if I have a problem, it is my problem, which she quickly backed off after I basically repeated back to her what she said. No, my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and I also coach her basketball team, so we won't be able to do birthday dinner until late. So I said I would just take her out to a restaurant, and we could celebrate more the next day, Halloween. My GF said she wanted to cook, and she would make dinner happen, but she didn't want my mom to help cook or be around. I told her I'm not going to play referee, and she needs to talk to my mom if she feels like this still. I just want the birthday girl to have a nice dinner. We had the party this weekend. My mom is totally oblivious to all of this, I should add. Now she is mad again, saying I'm not respecting her boundaries and feelings. I am saying she isn't considering the birthday girl, and just, it's all my fault. She now feels like and she wants to not only cancel cooking for the birthday dinner, but Halloween as well. I'm emotionally exhausted by this now, and, in my mind, what should have been simple communication that needs to happen for a strong relationship is now just has spiraled out of control. I do feel she's making everything about herself and being selfish, But if I told her that I might as well tell her she is fugly, smells, and everyone hates her. AITA? I really do love her and started imagining our futures together. I was even thinking about how her and her 3 kids could move in with us in the future. Edit. So, a lot of people are asking timeline. My ex-wife abandoned me with an 18-month-old and 4-year-old about 5 years ago. We introduced kids after dating 6 months. I had a relationship before her last 6 months and ended amicably, but I never talked to her. She cusses and sometimes in inappropriate situations, but this instance was just over the top. Our first year was basically great. That's why I fell in love with her. We had a few arguments, but I'm not a very argumentative person, and I never yell or get super angry. We went on romantic getaways, snowboarded, hiked, kayaked, camped, boating, all sort of great times with and without kids. This all honestly kind of came out of left field, but maybe I missed signs. It's hard to see red flags wearing rose-colored glasses. I see the overwhelming sentiment, and I have a lot of thinking to do. I stood my ground today and just said, we will be doing our own thing for the birthday dinner with just my little family and grandma. She did not take it well and started to escalate to the point she almost just blew the whole relationship up, but backed down when she realized I was going to let that happen. We argued and talked over text, and it's now down to her saying, I f***ed everything up. I said we need to talk this out in person this weekend. I don't think we'll do Halloween together tomorrow night either. I think I need to go very low contact with the kids until further notice. OP is not an AH in this situation, and his communication with his girlfriend is reasonable and justified. However, his girlfriend's defensive and overreactive behavior is not justifiable. She appears to be self-centered and dismissive, making her the AH in this scenario. I would rate her a 2 out of 5 on the AH scale, while OP gets a 0. Let's now jump onto the next story from Big Tasty CJ. AITA for not giving any money to my friend for his daughter, and telling him it is his fault she is like this. I, 28M, and my brother, 26M, have been collecting stuff for years. Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, comics, soccer cards, figures, etc. Simply because we love that type of thing and know their value. Now my friend, let's call them Han, 39M, wants me to donate to his daughter, 14F, who has been put into a private rehab clinic for alcohol and substance abuse. Yes, you read that right. And wants me to help cover the costs. Han knows that I have a very well-paying job and thinks that I, as his daughter's uncle, non-biological, should help him cover the cost of his daughter's rehab. For context, Han is one of these lenient parents. And I don't mean lenient by Japanese or Asian parent standards. I mean, you can do what you want, I don't care type. And his daughter did just that. Me and Han came from very strict Japanese households and have joked many times over some things our moms and dads used to say and do to us when we were naughty. Me and Han met when I first came to the UK, 2017, to start my job, and we became very close friends. He and his wife and daughter even started calling me Uncle CJ, my first and last name combined. Me and Han used to work at the same place until early 2022, when Han decided to leave work to pursue a YouTube career. It is not going well for him, and started being even more distant with his daughter, doubling down on the do what you want, I don't care attitude with her. Although Han's daughter has not dated anyone, and refuses to have boyfriends, she wants to wait until marriage for any type of intimacy. She has formed a very close friendship with a quiet girl from her school who is in a similar situation as her. She has a very relaxed parent setup. Just like Han's daughter, at first the two would sneakily buy things like energy drinks and drink them before school. Nothing really harmless. Teens drink energy drinks and coffee all the time on the way to school, and they thought they were being rebellious. Then things took a turn when she started staying over at this quiet girl's house. She would come back smelling of alcohol and cigarettes, and Han, being the great parent he is, simply said, "Don't do drugs, kids," and laughed. I spoke to her, however, asking her why she smelled like alcohol and cigarettes, and was met with, "My friend's mom and dad smoke and drink sometimes." It must have stuck to my clothes, which I instantly knew was BS. But there is no talking to her. Believe me, I have tried. Anyway, skip forward a little bit, and every time I see her, she smells of cigarettes. Han just keeps jokingly saying, "Don't do drugs, kids," and laughing. And I, although have tried many times, can't seem to get through to her. I went home to go and spend time with my mom and other family. I usually spend around 4 to 5 months a year home. Japan, as I can work remotely. My girlfriend, who is also Japanese, does the same. As our families are close, it is perfect as we get a holiday and see family. When we got back to the UK, me and my girlfriend stopped by Hans with some gifts from home. We walked in and was greeted by a girl who looked almost unrecognizable. Hans' daughter looked very pale, extremely skinny, and had very dark circles around her eyes from tiredness. Me and my girlfriend looked at each other in shock. When we confronted Han, he said that it must be the late nights she spends with her friend. My girlfriend looked at him, and with a deadpan expression, said, "That isn't from late nights, that's drug use." She knows because her aunt was an addict. But he played it off. I tried to talk to Hans' daughter, but to no avail. She shut me out. A few days later, I heard the buzzer at my apartment. It was around 4 a.m., and we were sleeping, but it woke me up. It was Hans' daughter. I buzzed her in and let her come in. She ran to me, hugged me, and started crying, telling me about the things she and her friend had done. She went into painful detail on how her and her friend would buy substances, go to her friend's room, and take them, then pass out, and how she had cravings for more alcohol and substances, and wouldn't be able to control herself until she had taken some more. I comforted her, made her some food, and we spoke. I let her cry, vent, and let out all her frustration. Then I took her home. I forced Han to help his daughter, and he finally put her into a private rehabilitation clinic, which is fairly expensive. Han was covering costs first, but quickly started running out of money around week 4, and expects me and my girlfriend to cover the costs, or at least donate to them, as I was the one who told him to get her help. He then suggested that I sell mine and my brother's collections, which are worth a lot. But I refused, and told Han straight that it was his fault his daughter was the way she is, and that I wouldn't be paying a penny towards her care. Han was shocked and started berating me about how we are brothers, which, while I do see him as my brother, I also need him to realize that he caused this by not being there for his daughter. It's his mess. I warned him many times. Now he needs to fix it. His wife is just as useless as Han, if not more so. So I won't be paying. That is final, but I do feel bad. So am I the asshole? Edit. I am sorry about not using paragraphs first time. I was just so shocked that it slipped my mind. Also, I will keep you all updated when/if anything more happens. But right now, Han and his wife aren't talking to me and my girlfriend, despite us reaching out several times. OP is certainly not an AH for refusing to cover his friend's daughter's rehab costs because it is not his responsibility. Another reason is that OP's friend is mainly responsible for his daughter's drug abuse, as he never cared about her. So, I would rate OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. As for OP's friend, he is an AH for being entitled and dependent on OP, and his statement that OP should pay for rehab costs because he insisted on his daughter's treatment is beyond comprehension, and a big red flag of entitlement. So, OP's friend is an AH, and I would rate him 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump onto the next story from unknown_user. AITA for refusing to share inheritance with steps and half-siblings. I am 24M and twin sis 24F. We lost out mother when I was 8, but her memories forever will be cherished, because she was the textbook mom every kid wanted. 2 years after Dad remarried with a woman who tried to impose herself as mom on us and forced her kids on us who were 5 at that time, and twins, 1M and 1F. They met at some twin children activity contest. A year later, our half-bro was born. She was also physically abusive, but stopped with sis, who gave it back, and later me when I gave it back. My sister and stepmom used to have fights daily, as my sister is very strong personality, and stepmom couldn't impose herself on us. Our dad, 49M, used to take our stepmom's side, because she used to act all motherly in front of him whenever he came back home. Also, he used to spend time more with steps, and those kids used to cling on our dad whenever we had time with us, as their father isn't involved. It also led to dislike towards half and steps. I don't see them as siblings. We never had individual time with our father. And that biatch of woman never let it allow. They used to impose babysitting on us, but we refused to take care. It led to more bitterness, as once we didn't feed kids for whole day, and it was massive fight. They call me big bro, but I don't talk to them, and contact with father is due to fact I love him. My sister and me both are engineers and already working in great jobs. Our step-biatch wanted us to go for some local degree in arts, but finally Dad put his foot down. She said it will be huge bill, but Dad said he had saved enough for us. My sis has contact with me on daily basis and minimum with Dad due to her refusal of talking to stepfamily, and Dad not liking it. I talk once in a while to keep Dad happy. Our dad also didn't let us contact our maternal grandparents much, but we still used to visit once a year, and recently they liquidated their whole wealth. Note, my grandparents broke up with Mum when she married my dad, who wasn't rich. They connected when Mum was sick, but Dad never let them back fully. They are actual loaded, but we were loved by them, and they treated us fine whoever we visited them, and cherished it. Recently, they sold a lot of land to developers and other sources, and divided wealth between 3 grandchildren. In few months, me and sister will inherit around $4 million each. In excitement, I shared with Dad, and all hell broke loose. He wants my sister and me to divide it 5 ways, which we refused. My sister broke contact as she isn't dependent on him. For me, this money means buying a house outright, investing in other rental properties, as well as in my cafe, which I dreamt of. Dad is saying he will break every relation with us if we don't give money to other 3, whatever he was. He was still an involved dad, but I don't have love for those kids. I won't share a single penny with them. If tomorrow our parents pass always, they can go to orphanage. We just don't love them. But I don't want to lose Dad. I told him that he once again chooses his stepfamily over us, and he said we should have compassion. Edit to add. Those kids are not some innocent children. They even said our mother is your mother, and they were glad our bio mom was dead. It was last straw for us. They said it when they were 12, not 4. Also, people who are mocking my English, saying it's fake because engineers should write better English. I got into engineering clearing physics, maths, and chemistry, and code your life in hell. So, buzz off. AITA for refusing to share inheritance? OP is not the AH here because the inheritance was from OP's maternal grandparents, who intended it solely for him and his twin sister. Given the abusive history with their stepfamily and lack of genuine bonds, OP has no obligation to share the inheritance, especially as his father continually favored his stepfamily. So, OP is not an AH in any way, and I would rate him 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. And OP's abusive stepfamily is an AH, and give them 2.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump onto the next story from Miserable-Aid 1369. AITA for calling out my friend for spending less time with me and more time with her ex-best. Alice had a best friend, let's call her Lisa. Lisa and Alice were very close as friends can be. I liked Lisa, and we all hung out very often and got along well. We all started becoming friends, going out together, hanging out, having sleepovers, attending parties together. We all hung out, and I enjoyed both Alice's and Lisa's company. I recognized how close they were and never wanted to intrude on any friendship. So whenever I would see Alice, I would always extend any invitation to Lisa. One day, Lisa is having a New Year's party. Alice asks if she can invite my sister and Lisa says no. I really didn't mind because I had previous plans, but Alice was upset because she was confused as to why Lisa suddenly didn't want to have me around. I didn't think much of it, or even make an issue. I liked Lisa, and I was busy anyway. But Alice thought it was strange. Among this and other reasons, Alice and Lisa had a falling out and ended up drifting apart. For 3 years after that, Alice and I became extremely close. I wanted to be there for her, and I viewed her as family. She was an important friend of mine, and especially after her losing Lisa as a friend. Naturally, we became closer and hung out a lot. Fast forward years later, Alice tells me that Lisa had reached out to her, hoping to reconcile and reconnect. I was really excited for her because I knew how close they used to be, and how much she valued their friendship before their falling out. She ends up meeting up with her, then suddenly, after that, starts being strange, lying about her plans, cancelling on plans way more often, and just being a bit distant when she would lie about her plans. And I would find out later that she was with Lisa. I would express myself and explain that I would appreciate honesty, that I'm happy her and Lisa are friends again. But I didn't appreciate her lying to me every time she went to hang out with Lisa. This turned into Alice sort of becoming distant, hanging out with Lisa more, and avoiding making plans with me. sometimes canceling plans to see Lisa. Almost every time I asked her to hang out, she would say she's busy or has schoolwork, but would be with Lisa. This sparked me to sit down and have a conversation with her about how I'm feeling. I was confused on why they would never include me in their plans, even though they've been friends again for months. I haven't seen Lisa once since they've started being friends again. I quickly realized that Lisa may have something against me, which I respected. When I asked Alice, she claims that Lisa has social anxiety and says it may be awkward because we haven't seen each other for a while. I was kind of confused because she didn't seem too socially anxious when we all first started hanging out and going out and spending time together. Anyway, in all, I respect Alice's decision to spend her time with whoever she would like. It is her life, and she's allowed to be close with people and not feel obligated to always mix friends. I'm pretty understanding about it. I'm just wondering if I'm the asshole for confronting her about this. Am I being a needy or jealous friend? I never did wrong by Lisa and never wanted her and Alice to stop being friends. I always included her, but I guess some people in life won't like you, and that's all right. OP is not an AH because she reasonably expressed her hurt feelings about her friend's sudden distancing and lying. Wanting and expecting clarity from a close friend is natural, and it is not jealousy. It is okay to renew a friendship with an old friend, but it does not mean you should just ghost the others. So OP is not an AH, and I would rate her 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. OP's friend is an AH here, and I would give her 1.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now jump onto the next story from @RA-92020. AITA for not allowing my adopted son to choose the movie on family movie night. I, 45M, have 4 sons, 3 biological, 17M, 15M, 12M, and 1 adopted, 13M. We adopted Jake when he was 3 years old. He came from a difficult background, and we've always tried to give him as much love and support as possible. But if I'm being honest, it hasn't been easy. Jake has always been more of a challenge compared to my other boys. He's extremely sensitive and gets upset over the smallest things. Due to the trauma he experienced early on, Jake is mentally and emotionally more like an 8 or 9-year-old, even though he's 13. This isn't because of any special needs. It's just the result of what he's been through. When he was younger, he struggled a lot in school, to the point where he was eventually expelled from his primary school for behavioral issues. It was a tough time for our family. We ended up enrolling him in a social, emotional, and mental health school, which costs around £70k per year. While the school has helped him somewhat, Jake still causes a lot of problems. The school often calls us because Jake's had a meltdown or couldn't handle something, and it's clear he needs a lot more attention than our other kids. At home, Jake's neediness can be overwhelming. He's constantly seeking reassurance and gets upset if things don't go exactly his way. My wife has always been very patient with him, maybe too patient in my opinion. She tends to cater to his needs a lot more than the other boys, and I can see it starting to wear on them. I can tell they're starting to feel like Jake gets special treatment. Earlier today, during our usual Saturday family movie night, this issue came to a head. We always vote on the movie to keep things fair. The older boys and I wanted to watch the first Avengers movie. When we voted, Jake was the only one who wanted to watch Spider-Verse instead. Jake loves Spider-Verse, and we've watched it several times before. Seeing how upset Jake was getting, my wife suggested that we just watch Spider-Verse to avoid a meltdown. She felt it wasn't worth the fight and wanted to keep the peace, especially considering how sensitive Jake is. But I felt like it wasn't fair to the other boys who had won the vote fairly. I said no, we're sticking to the movie that won the vote. Jake, predictably, got really upset, stormed off to his room, and refused to come back downstairs. After the movie, my wife and I had a huge argument. She said I was being too harsh and that I don't understand how difficult things are for Jake because of his past. She thinks I should have just let him have his way to avoid the conflict. But I'm tired of walking on eggshells and constantly giving in to Jake at the expense of the other boys. I don't think it's right to let Jake dictate everything just because he's more sensitive. AITA for not letting my adopted son choose the movie on family movie night, even though it upset him and led to a huge argument with my wife? Update. Hi all, this is an update to a post I made about 4 months ago. For full context, you might want to check out the original post. After reading through your comments and taking some time to reflect, I came to realize I've been too harsh on Jake. not just regarding the movie night incident, but in general. Jake has had a difficult journey since he joined our family, but that's not his fault. When we chose to adopt him, we committed to supporting him through every challenge. He didn't choose his trauma, and he certainly didn't choose to end up in a family where he might feel different from his siblings. That responsibility lies with us. We've made a few changes, starting with family movie night. Instead of voting, which often left Jake feeling excluded, we've switched to a rota where each person takes a turn picking the movie. This simple change has removed a lot of the tension and has made movie night feel more inclusive for everyone. I honestly can't believe I didn't think of it sooner. Thank you to everyone who suggested it. In hindsight, I realize my original post felt more like a venting session, and I regret the way I spoke about Jake. I needed to get those feelings out, but now I understand it wasn't fair to talk about him in that way, even anonymously. Since then, I've started journaling to work through my emotions privately and with a clearer head. I'm grateful for the wake-up call your comments provided. One point raised repeatedly in the comments was the glass child concept. The idea that our other boys might feel overlooked because of Jake's needs. That really hit home for me. To address this, we've started a new Sunday tradition. Each Sunday, I take one of our boys out for a full day, just the two of us, doing something he chooses. It's been great for all of us and has given me precious one-on-one time with each of my sons. My relationship with them feels stronger, and it's something I look forward to every week. Jake and I also had a long heart-to-heart after my original post. He opened about feeling like his opinions and wants don't matter, and that he sometimes believes I love my other boys more. Hearing that broke my heart, and I took responsibility for my role in making him feel this way. His early trauma impacts his sense of security, but I can't ignore that my own behavior contributed as well. I'm committed to showing him that he's just as valued and loved as his brothers. Finally, some people asked about therapy. Jake's been on the waiting list for a more specialized therapist for a while now, well before I made the original post. In the meantime, he does receive some therapy through his school, which helps, but we know he'll benefit much more once he has consistent access to a trauma-informed therapist. We're hopeful this will come through soon. Thanks again to everyone who shared insights and advice. These changes have made a huge difference in our family's dynamics, and I feel closer to all my sons. I'm working every day to be a better parent to Jake and a more balanced dad for all our kids. OP was not an AH for prioritizing fairness in movie selection, but his approach lacked understanding of Jake's emotional needs, and it contributed to Jake's feelings of exclusion. However, after reflecting on the situation, OP adopted an approach that ensured inclusivity. It is appreciable,